Rama had asked a question about Vasishta. There's this logical confusion that if you give up the ego sense, if you transcend the ego, then how can you operate in this body? And Vasistha replied with silence. And this caused a bit of consternation in the court amongst the members of the assembly who were listening, and even amongst Ram himself, who provoked Vasistha to answer verbally. And Vasistha, after this silence, said that his answer was appropriate, not only because Rama's understanding was no longer based on the intellect, but it was also wrong for Vasistha to try and reduce his nature to the finite, which was what would happen if he tried to express it in words. Ram said, "I realize that all expressions are tainted with duality and limitation. Making due allowance for this, tell me who you are." We're now back with the play of words, and rather than indulge these words in an intellectual sense, the best way to understand or to relate to these words is to allow them to reflect back on ourselves. Vasistha is describing his nature. He's going to describe his nature as pure consciousness. Well, rather than relating this to Vasistha, look to your own nature and see if there's something there which these words relate to. Vasistha replied, "I am the pure, space-like consciousness, devoid of objective experience and beyond all mental activity or thought. I am the pure and infinite consciousness. Even so are you. The whole world is that too. Everything is the pure, indivisible consciousness. I am pure consciousness and nothing but that." It is when one endeavours to give expression to oneself that the ego sense and all the rest of it arise, even if one's attempt is to attain total freedom. They call it the supreme state in which one, though alive, behaves as if he were dead. Well, the description often given is of being some kind of zombie, which isn't a particularly appealing description. Or let's say the vibrancy that arises from within is greater than any vibrancy which will arise from looking outside. Although this gets us into the duality of inner and outer. But as Vasistha just said, the whole world is that too. So we transcend the inner and outer, and whatever happens, whatever is happening, is vibrant. There's no need to focus on one aspect of what's happening, whether inner or outer, for fulfillment. So you're dead in the sense in that there's nothing that you need to complete your sense of being, because it's complete already. It is absurd for the ego sense to seek this emancipation, for it can never comprehend the truth. And this is to do it through words. This is to look for the truth in words. The infinite consciousness surely stands in no need of realizing the infinite consciousness. Either way, it is like the born blind endeavoring to see a painting. This is Nirvana, emancipation or freedom, in which one stands firm like a rock, whether or not there is agitation or movement in consciousness. So there can still be movement in consciousness. But the sense of being is like a rock. He sees no other. Others put here in between apostrophes, because that's a notion. The idea of other is simply that, an idea, it's a notion. He is free from all desires and cravings. If there's no other, how can you crave something? In him there is no I, you, or the other. It is alone. All one, alone. So these are distinctions which we make through the cognitive process. I, you, other. If there's no such thing as I, you and other, then how can there be craving or desire? It's only to the extent to which we feel there's separation do we make these distinctions. That's what drives the cognitive process, the notion of separation. Vasishta continued. The awareness of the infinite consciousness of itself is the mind. This is when awareness moves away from itself. This is when we have the mind, which is the vortex of notions. This itself is samsara and bondage, which lead to psychic distress. When the infinite consciousness remains itself, as if unaware of itself, that is moksha, or liberation. Mind, intellect, etc. are but modifications of pure consciousness, for they are mere words. Well, they're only apparent modifications, clearly. In fact, the pure, undivided consciousness alone exists. When pure consciousness alone exists, pervading everywhere, inside and out, how does the notion of division arise, and where? It's not so much that it pervades everywhere, inside and out. It's that everywhere, inside and out, apparently arises within pure consciousness.